Welcome to The Other Discovery Show, the podcast that's not about podcasts. It's about all the other things we discovered this week. I'm Josh.
I'm Kirk.
And I am Zach.
Kirk, where were you the evening of October 1st?
Uh-oh. I don't know.
It's not a very good alibi, buddy.
I would be very bad in court or
So you can't tell me where you were the evening of October 1st?
Nope.
Well, you might be in some trouble, my friend, because apparently there's been some trouble at the most magical place on Earth.
Ah, I see.
Disney.
So am I a Florida man?
So you were probably at Disney. If you can't tell us where you were, I'm going to assume you were at Disney. So there were over $20,000 in attraction parts from
I just saw
classic
this today.
attractions such as Peter Pan's Flight and Space Mountain have been stolen after a burglary took place at Walt Disney World
I
in
can
Orlando.
neither confirm or deny.
Convenient
me.
that you're a season pass holder.
It does seem like
they took-
there's a chance he was there.
They took that. They found that there was a shell and 3 ride vehicle seats from Space Mountain, and parts from Peter Pan's Flight are missing. Convenient that those are your 2 favorite rides. Am I wrong?
Yeah. They're not my favorites,
Oh.
but
Well, anyways,
They're
I'm
good.
assuming
Yes,
you
you're
stole
wrong.
I think
them,
Peter
but
Pan's overrated, but
do you think Space Mountain's overrated? Because that's the best
no,
ride
I like
of all
Space
time.
Mountain. I like Space Mountain.
It's a good ride.
It's a good ride.
So
It wasn't me though. But what's weird is this isn't like the first robbery they've
No,
had
it's happened
recently.
a lot. Yeah.
Like they've had a lot of stuff stolen recently. I don't know why.
Do you know what the secondary market is? Think about this. You have a Space Mountain cart and 3 seats. What do you think the secondary market on the black market is for that? There's some crazy Disney weirdo that's going to pay you millions of dollars for that.
Well, I mean, it was $20,000 value. I don't know how much someone would be willing to pay for it, but
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Some crazy Disney weirdo is like, oh, I got the Space Mountain cart in my living room.
The thing is, I don't understand that kind of stuff because how do you sell it without getting caught? That's the thing.
Black market.
Okay, you steal it, but
You sell it for Bitcoin or trade it for drugs or weapons
This is
or favors. What? That's how you trade these things.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin, drugs, or illegal favors. That's it.
illegal favors,
That sounds. It's so suggestive for no reason.
contract kills.
So that's the only way you can trade those goods for any sort of monetary value.
Because they haven't caught this person yet, but
No.
the person before
Did get caught.
did get caught because they got caught selling it.
Yeah, they
don't
stole a bunch of stuff from the Haunted Mansion, which I don't know. What kind of weirdo steals from the Haunted Mansion? It's lame.
Haunted Mansion's awesome. So I had a discovery that I shared in the podcast Discovery Club this week that I thought it was just too good to not bring up on the Other Discovery Show. I had never heard of this, and I wanted to hear y'all's opinion. Have you guys ever heard of like the phenomenon that happened in the Battle of Shiloh in the Civil War about soldiers' wounds glowing? I had
Nope.
never heard of it.
I have not.
So apparently, during the Battle of Shiloh, all of these people got wounded, of course, during this battle, and it took 6 to 7 days to like get to everybody, because there was so many wounded people, and it was like very humid and muddy, and it was like kind of gross area. And by the time they started reaching some of these wounded people, if they did it at night, they saw that a lot of these people's open wounds were glowing. And I think they called it like the angel glow or something like that. And not only were their wounds glowing, but the wounds that were glowing had less like rot and less infection than the people who didn't have that. And forever, of course, it just seemed like this supernatural phenomenon or whatever. But apparently, it was a form of fungus that was growing in these guys' wounds. It was just like a perfect scenario for it to grow, and it was actually preventing bacteria from growing inside their wounds. It was just like this crazy story. Could you imagine, like, as a medic going to help fix people and their wounds are just glowing and they're not infected like everyone else's?
Yeah. You got to think some sort of crazy, like, God has touched these men. Like, I'm sure there was a lot of, like, crazy religious experiences happening there because they were just, it's blowing their minds. They're like,
Yeah, it's very easy to see how you could tie in like
Yeah.
the supernatural, to
especially in
something like
wartime when everything is so messed up and everything is so low, to see wounds that start glowing and they don't have the infection and rot of the other wounds. They were obviously immediately jumping to, this is some sort of supernatural religious experience.
Just like nature's just so nuts, man. It's almost, you can't even make some of this stuff up. There's a
Like
quote.
ball lightning.
Yeah, it's almost unexplainable.
It's insane.
People probably forever thought you were nuts if you talked about it, because it's just some random natural phenomenon that's very rare. But there's a quote in this article. It says, many soldiers were forced to lie in the mud and muck for 2 days while waiting for the medics to get to them. When the sun went down, an eerie blue-green glow began to be seen in several areas of the darkened Tennessee battlefield. Strangely, the wounds of some of the stranded soldiers were emitting this glow. No one had any idea what this phenomenon might portend, but the doctors and nurses noticed that those whose wounds had glowed brightly in the dark had a significantly higher survival rate than those whose wounds were not illuminated. Additionally, the wounds healed at a faster rate and more cleanly. Because of the seemingly magical properties, the coloration became known as angel's glow. It's just an amazing discovery that I'd never heard of, but it's also like there's history, there's science, and I think randomly, like 2 teenagers were the ones that ended up saw the phenomenon again and brought it to someone's attention, and that's how they found out what it actually was. Because basically before that, it was just some random story that you had from a Civil War battle.
No, it's really cool to take mysticism down to a scientific or a general, this is an actual thing that's happening, understanding. And I mean, that's awesome. And you said this was in what year that this was happening?
It was in 1862 during the Battle of Shiloh.
Yeah, that's awesome. And weird.
Real weird.
But it's definitely interesting to see how some people took like a mystical look at something that was scientifically proven much later.
Man, if you sold that stuff on the internet, kids would be cutting themselves open and pouring it in their wounds. So they're talking about how they're blessed by the devil or something.
That seems weird, what you just said.
All the words you just said.
Telling you sell that stuff on Amazon, kids would be cutting themselves up. Putting it on YouTube
I don't know how to
and
respond to that.
TikTok and Snapchat.
So I'm going to tell you something I discovered this week. I discovered what is the lethal dose of caffeine. I feel like it's something that we all need to know.
I didn't know there was a lethal dose of caffeine, to be honest.
A lethal dose.
I feel like I've gotten close to it.
And all of us
before.
have been pushing that boundary for years now. No, but we have not.
How far past feeling electricity and being able to
tasting colors.
You feeling weird is not going to kill you. I'll tell you that right now. So I read this article that essentially breaks down mathematically what amount of caffeine you would need to consume to die, because it's pretty intense level at this point, really. So it comes down to I'll share this article in the show notes if you want to check out how they broke down all the math and how they understood all of this. It goes from between about 80 to about 113, and 113 cups of coffee in 24 hours.
How many milligrams of caffeine is that?
I actually thought it would be more. I mean, that's a lot, but for some reason I thought it would be more than that.
15,000 milligrams.
Okay, that's a lot of caffeine.
That's a lot. That's
a lot of caffeine.
15,000 or 1,500?
15,000. 15,360.
So that's drinking like
a liter
100.
of only caffeine.
Yeah, that's like
a liter and a half.
100 Red Bulls would get you close.
And because of this, I mean, I was basically just figuring out, okay, are we drinking enough caffeine that like we're messing ourselves up? Because sometimes we drink some caffeine.
Yeah.
It happens. It's life.
I don't think I've cracked 1,000 milligrams.
That's what I'm saying. You're good. And it's partially because our bodies are so good at metabolizing, because our bodies can metabolize like, I think 15 liters of water a day. We are drinking that. And same with the coffee. That's just like a ridiculous amount. And you're not ever going to drink this amount in a normal situation. You would have to go out of your way to do it. And essentially, you would be uncomfortable physically way before you actually hurt yourself. Because if you drink half of the amount that would kill you, you're going to feel bad. You're gonna feel really bad.
If you drink 8,000 milligrams of caffeine,
you're gonna feel bad.
You talk about the coffee poops? I mean, good God.
I mean, that and like the shakes and like sweating out, and
I mean,
there's a lot of stuff going on.
I've had some really strong cold brew that's like 400 or 500 milligrams of caffeine in a cup of coffee, and your eyes start twitching. You start sweating, and it's an intense experience.
Sounds like my reaction to Nashville hot chicken.
I mean, it basically was. It seems like.
But
But I also figured out because of this article, because to figure out this article, they had to figure out, you have to figure out based on weight, what amount of caffeine you could consume. And so I figured out that, first of all, the average man is 5'9" tall, and his waist
I'm almost average.
his waist circumference is 40 inches.
I'm average there.
wait, 40 inches.
You don't have a 40-inch waist? There's no chance.
Somewhere around there.
No,
What?
there's no chance.
That's pant size.
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking of pant size. That's not...
You're not a 40.
You don't wear a
you're
40
not-
pant size?
What do I wear? I don't remember what I wear anymore.
You like 28 or 30.
Oh, yeah, I'm 32, 30.
That's 32.
My
8
bad.
inches shorter than the average. And I mean, this is
On the
kind
height
of
and
this,
the waist.
this is kind of damning. Honestly, it makes us seem like we're real fat. But the U.S. woman is lighter and shorter, weighing 170 pounds, standing at 5 foot 3.7 inches tall. And it's one of those things where I was just like, what is the average American? What would be the statistical average? And that is, it is
Yeah, we got
slightly overweight.
Yeah, we're not super healthy here in America. I feel like we have some of the healthiest people in the world and some of the most unhealthy people
Yeah,
in the
it's
world.
both. We have the contrast. We're able to
We
ride
like to
that
be the
edge.
best on both ends.
I think a lot... I think a lot of it is kind of based on if you did your regular American diet, if you would be overweight or...
They call it the SAD diet, the standard American diet.
There you go. Yeah. Whereas other countries, if you do their regular diet, you'll be pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Not so here in the U.S.
The funny thing is, part of the standard American diet is like you eat McDonald's 2 or 3 times a week.
2 or 3 times a week. Delicious. I hate McDonald's.
Get my McChicken?
McChickens are the worst.
I don't think I've ever had a McChicken. I could use a McRib right now, though. Whew.
I don't think it's McRib time.
It is. I saw it today.
Pork.
I had to get some
Oh wait,
nuggets.
that means pork futures are at their low.
I had to get
Everybody
some
get
nuggets
ready.
for my son today.
It's time for rib meat. It's happening. No, but I just thought it was all interesting, and we are not
is.
we're
Yeah.
not going to kill ourselves with caffeine, and that's good, I guess.
I mean, our hearts might not be great, but at least we won't actually overdose
they
on
might be
caffeine.
suffering in some way.
Y'all,
No, and okay, you can in fact kill yourself with water fairly easily. They actually
It's called drowning.
That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about water toxicity because
yeah,
you
you
can't
breathe it. You inhale just a little
mean,
bit of
if-
water.
Yeah,
If-
don't do that.
If you breathe it, that is going to be something. But for water, it's 15 liters a day. That is a ludicrous amount of water. But there is a level that you can drink too much water and die from drinking too much.
That's 7.5, 2 liters. Just for a visual representation. I know that's some simple math.
How
but
many gallons is that? I need to know.
I have no idea how many.
How many
gallons that
cups?
is. Have you guys heard about Tide Pods?
I have.
Yeah, it's a detergent.
Yeah, and you know how kids were eating them,
Yeah, I remember that too.
doing the Tide Pod challenge and all that nonsense. And everyone got real mad because it's real bad for you. And I watched a video on how bad it is, like, because they were like putting it in their mouth and like chomping it and then like spitting it out, like to make YouTube videos because they thought it was cool. And the people that were doing it as a joke were actually like going to the hospital and permanently damaging their esophagus and stuff. It's horrible. It's a horrible thing. You shouldn't put Tide Pods anywhere near your mouth ever, period, hard stop. But Tide Pods were trending again on Twitter last week
Uh-oh.
because Glenlivet has made
I saw
a
this.
capsule collection of their scotch.
I saw this.
And it looks like Tide Pods that
But
are
with
filled
whiskey
with whiskey.
in it.
And they have this whole video of these people taking these little like whiskey Tide Pods and putting them in their mouth and like being like, ooh, this is good. Ooh, I'm tasting these different types of whiskey. But it's literally whiskey Tide Pods. And so people are losing their minds about this because like we just got all these kids off of the Tide Pods. We just squashed this thing that should have never been a thing. It was stupid in the first place, and now it's finally gone away. Now Glenlivet's like, hey guys, we got whiskey Tide Pods. What's up?
Just to be devil's advocate, it's just the medium of which the liquid's in.
Yes.
It's just a water-soluble package. That's all
Yes.
it is. Just because Tide Pods used it for detergent shouldn't mean that you can't use it for a beverage.
I agree.
So I think that's kind of dumb that people are getting all up in arms about that. Granted,
What
people
they're
were
saying
dumb
is-
about it in the
what
first
they're saying
place.
is you can put these pods in your mouth, but not these other pods. And people are saying it's going to cause issues. I don't think it's related. The funny thing is that it looks so much like a Tide Pod that Glenlivet is like it's a Scotch company. So they're supposed to be like sophisticated and serious. And they have like this tasting board with these little Tide Pods on it.
I mean,
these 3 different whiskeys, and they're tasting it, and they're like putting these little pods in their mouth. It's a ridiculous. They have a video that they launched with their announcement of this. And it's
I thought
ridiculous.
it looked awesome. It looked like a cheap, stinking like whiskey gusher.
Hey, if you put some whiskey Tide Pods in front of me, am I going to eat them? Yeah, I'm going to try those. It's just one of those things that it looks so much like Tide Pods. People were like freaking out about it because Tide Pods were not good. But whiskey pods, I'm about it.
Here's all them stay-at-home moms who's mad at their kids for doing that stupid stuff. Also, we have a special segment from a friend of the show who's also a police officer nearby, and he has some really cool stories that we ask him about being a cop.
So my story, it's kind of a long one. It might be a little detailed, but I'm going to try to cut it as short as I can. I was sitting at a park in the area. I just disclosed to you guys where I work.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude who I know, who's, he's a longtime felon, comes up to me. He goes, "Officer." He calls me by my name. He looks up and goes, "Hey, look at these magazines I got." And it's not magazine like books. It's, magazines like with bullets.
Magazines.
I know he's a convicted felon. I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, let me get out and check out these magazines." So they were all loaded. Okay. So long story short, I arrest him and everything. Convicted felon. You can't have ammo. Can't have guns.
I didn't know you couldn't have ammo. I mean, it
You
makes
can't have
sense.
ammo, yeah. And he's showing me receipts of him buying the magazines and the ammo. And I'm like, "You're just digging yourself
Why?
a bigger hole."
He wanted
He's
to prove.
a little off. He's a
Okay.
little off.
Okay.
He
Makes
experienced some
sense.
things as a child, and my dad went to school with them because obviously here in Plant City. So let's fast forward to 3 months later. We go to court. This dude represents himself. He doesn't want an attorney.
Always a bold strategy.
Yeah, and it's a straight up jury trial. And this is my first jury trial where there's an actual jury, and the judge is there, and it's like a real mean lady. Like, I mean, judges can be mean, and this lady's mean to me too. And I'm a police officer, so she's talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to represent myself." And they asked him probably 5 times, "Are you sure you want to do this? You're going to waive counsel if you do this. You're going to screw yourself in the long run." So he's like, "Yeah, I want to represent myself." So he pulls out this sheet of paper that I guess he was writing on in jail, and he goes, "Well, I'm missing my paperwork. I'm actually a convicted felon, but I've got my rights reinstated, but it's in my backpack, and the officer put it into safekeeping at the police department." So this is in Tampa,
Okay.
and I had worked, till 5 a.m. I slept 3 hours. I'm in Tampa at 8 a.m, and 3 hours later, it was back and forth with them. I wasn't involved with it. Then they go, "Oh, officer, we really want to see this paperwork that his rights were restored." So I drove all the way back to Plant City, get the paperwork, or get his backpack. That's 80 pounds. Walk a quarter mile because we don't get fun parking privileges.
So is the backpack just full of magazines?
It's full of it's actually he's homeless, but you would think magazines, but it's got the receipts for the magazines to it.
You got to keep those so that you
we
can
put
make
that
sure
in
that
for
people know
evidence.
that you were buying the ammo.
Exactly. So I walk back, and this backpack, I'm literally telling you, it's like carrying a dead person over your shoulder. And I had to go downstairs, upstairs, elevators, and everything. So I get there, and he's looking for these papers, and he goes, "Oh, this is what I'm looking for." And he pulls out his business card. It's got his name on it, and he's a bounty hunter,
Okay.
a paralegal.
Oh, okay.
He's got his own insurance company, and it's got all these things that he's qualified for. And he goes,
wears
"I'd
many
like to
hats."
use these. This is what's going to show you guys I'm allowed to carry ammo." Okay. You see that? He presents the card to the jury, like 5 cards. And he, like, I don't know.
and every single one a card.
He does. He goes, "This is, you guys, the jury, you guys can keep these if you want." The jury's like
If you ever need a bounty hunter or
paralegal.
insurance.
You look at it, and the way he spelt paralegal, it's PAR, like not the actual spelling, PAR-A-legal. So he asked me while I was up on the stand, he goes, "Can you please read the card?" And I'm like, "Okay." So I said his name, and the first one was paralegal. So I pronounced it the way he had it spelled. So I said paralegal, bounty
Paralegal.
hunter.
It's like cul-de-sac.
Yes.
It's right in that same category.
Exactly. And he goes, now I know the jury's got my cards. You guys feel free if you guys need. I'm not lying. He said, if you guys have any law problems, call me. And he's being dead serious. Looks right at the jury, and the jury's like,
I was going to say the judge
doesn't
probably
know what to
loved
think.
that.
Oh, it gets even better. He goes, let the judge have one too. So it gets the he can't. He tries to walk up, and he's like shackled with his feet and stuff because he's representing himself. And he tries to walk up to the judge, and the bailiff there's like 3 bailiffs, and they run up on him like, no, you can't come up to the judge. So he gives the judge gives the bailiff the card, and the judge goes, okay, yeah, it's got some misspellings and some grammatical errors to it.
Always a good sign.
Yeah. And he goes, well, judge, if you ever need any legal problems, please help. It's here. And I'm not lying, guys. I literally thought this was a joke. The entire I've only been doing this for 5 years, and I always thought like this would be the most like harsh, intense moment in my like police life, and it was probably the most screwed up situation from like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Like it was just nonstop laughter, and everyone's like, even the standby public defender, who's he doesn't get paid by obviously the guy, he just gets paid through the state. And he's like kept interrupting. He's like, "Sir, you don't want to say that. I know what I'm doing." He asked for help several times, and he didn't end up helping. And then he, tried to show he was a business owner, which allows him to carry a gun. And the whole case was screwed up from the start. So they dismissed me after a little bit, and then I get a text from the state attorney, and he's like, "Oh yeah, good job. He's locked up for 9 years." I said, "Oh, okay.
Oh my!
I don't have to see him for 9 years." But I thought it was just funny. He just wanted to not like just show me the card, the business card, and like in the middle of court was just trying to show me. And I'm like, I don't know what.
It seems mean, but I doubt he's getting any calls for his paralegal services after representing himself and going to jail for 9 years.
See, now he's surrounded by customers.
Yes, what I'm saying.
There is that.
Maybe that was his angle.
I'm a paralegal. Yeah.
So, the guy that brought you the magazines,
Yes.
did he have a gun or just magazines?
No, just he kept telling me,
It's even weirder.
A couple more weeks, I'm getting a gun. And
Oh.
I told him, like, you're not allowed to have a gun. Well, officer, you're wrong. I'm allowed. I'm like, you're not. You're a convicted felon. And
It's like, I'm trying to help you, man.
yeah,
Don't get
and
a gun.
and it's like I don't know what they were trying to fight until I realized he was representing himself, and he did that once before when he fought one of our guys before I started and represented himself and got put in there for 6 years. So
did he buy ammo from like whoever he bought ammo for? He gave you all the receipts. So
Yes.
did y'all go to that person and say, "Hey, you sold"?
well, you can
Ammunition.
actually sell.
I was going to say,
You can buy
you don't.
ammunition at Walmart because they're not
Right.
going to, check
Okay.
your
Yeah.
ID or anything. I mean, they might check your ID, but
It's just like an age limit, right? It's not like
you have to be
Gotcha.
21, I believe, to buy ammo.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So they don't do any sort of checks on ammo. It's
Yep.
just for
Yep.
if you're buying a
It's
firearm.
18 to buy a gun, and 21. No,
That
18
makes
to
sense.
Buy,
A
18
rifle.
to buy a rifle, 21 to buy a gun and bullets now. But I started off, and I was barely 21. I thought I was going to have my parents buy my gun as a cop, but barely missed it 2 months later. So
Is that a thing that happens if cops start before 21?
yes, we
their
actually have a
parents buy it for
guy
'em?
we have a guy. I think he, you went to SCA. Never mind. He went to Plant City High School. He's about y'all's age, and he started at 18, right on the dot.
Wow.
Yep.
So his parents went and bought him his,
Yep,
his
he had to
service
buy.
pistol.
Yep. They had to buy his gun and his ammo, and then at the end of the shift, he had to give it back to the police department.
Okay.
At the end of the day,
Does he get razzed for that? So if you're an 18-year-old and that's not your gun, really, do you get razzed?
I'm sure you do. I mean, I was still too young to be a cop then, or I was still in high school. But I'm sure because they still make fun of him now because he used to work at Blockbuster, and I remember because he was rude.
Is this the motorcycle cop?
Yes,
I know him.
you do know. That's
I don't know him good, but
Yeah.
I remember him.
Yes.
I remember him at Blockbusters. I used to
Yes,
go
he
to
used to
Blockbuster all the
work at
time,
Blockbuster.
and then I see him pulling people over on the side of the road. I'm like, "Hey, that's Blockbuster
Yeah,
guy."
he's got a little plumper, but
Yeah, he has gained a
when
lot
he
of
gets
weight.
on the radio, it's like you would. It would.
And he has such a soft voice
Yes,
too.
it sounds like your daughter's voice when he gets on the radio because you think when he keys up, he's like, you're like, oh my god, you hear something when someone's screaming, you're like ready for, someone's asking for backup, and no, it's just him, like so excited. Oh, I pulled somebody over, but that's him.
So I want to know what's the best part about being a cop?
I don't want to give you a cliche answer.
No,
Give
don't
me the
worry about that.
Give me the cliche answer first,
Yeah.
and then
You get to help everybody,
yeah.
but you clearly find out that you can help somebody, and they still aren't they don't want help. You can't help someone that doesn't want to help themselves, you know. I don't know. I've been in my area where I've been working for 5 years, and I know there's like tension between police and people who don't follow the law. And it's cool to show the kids that, you know, because they're raised up by their parents, you know, telling them, oh, you know, I got stopped by the police, and they think we're bad. Like, you know,
Right.
I pull over people and their kids are in the backseat crying. And it's cool to let the kids know that, like, we're here to help them, because if they get the wrong mindset growing up, it's just all downhill from there. So, you know, it's cool. Like, I'll get out and throw the football and go house to house talking to the kids, and they all know who I am. Like, I will be up in public shopping with my wife and son, and I get stopped by them and like, oh, you're the officer that, you know, throws the football with it. Yeah, that's me. And it's cool to help. Maybe I can, you know, show them that we're not bad, and maybe later on, you know, they will make a better decision than a bad decision, because I mean, it happens, but
Hell yeah, man. And we did a podcast last week about, it's a podcast called Ear Hustle, where it's a guy that was in prison and he was kind of interviewing people at San Quentin. And one of the things we talked about was that most people that are committing crimes and breaking the law are not doing it because like they've chosen to go out of their way and break the law and do this. They were raised in an environment that made that the right decision.
Exactly.
Like, I've never in my life felt like I'm going to do some meth. I'm going to sell some meth. Even if meth was handed to me on a silver platter and said, you want to do some meth? I'd be like, no, hell no. There's never been in my time in my life I would want to do meth or sell meth or anything to do with that. But that's because of my upbringing. If I had a different upbringing, that would be a very different story. So the fact that you mentioned kind of breaking through to the kids and breaking that cycle and breaking that mindset, it's like, that's awesome.
That's the number one thing I try to do is show the kids that, you know, because it's so easy to go on Facebook or, you know, everyone's got a cell phone and most of the topics are like, police do this bad. And I know some police do bad things, but not all of them do. And we get a bad rep most of the time. But it's cool because they got that in their back pocket. They go, oh, the police are bad. They're not really that good. But then they see like me or, you know, I would say 99.9% of our police force, they'd see that and we'd be cool with everybody. And they realize that we're not bad what they were taught or bad at, you know, what they seen on their phones and stuff. So.
Yeah, I think it's that same thing with kind of the media in general. It's the vocal minority. You know, you see it, with the 24-hour news cycle, it's much more plays, more clicks, more everything. It's more viral for things that are bad. And people just want to share it. They want to talk about it. But yeah, every day there's cops out there doing the right thing and trying to help the people in their community.
You just don't see that.
That's not an interesting story for social media, you know. And it is sometimes. I'll give them that. I have also seen some of the same type of thing where there's people out there trying to make an impact on their community. But in general, it's the same thing we've talked about. The world is not worse than it's ever been. It's better than it's ever been. We just see everything. We see every bad thing that happened, and it makes you kind of get this different view of the world where it seems worse, but it's really not. You know, in general, things are better than they ever have been. And so you just have to, we'll go back to Mr. Rogers' quote again, you have to look for the helpers because they're out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and one of the things that's crazy is that people don't realize that police officers have a very heavy cross to bear.
Absolutely.
You guys, the men and women in the police force cannot make a mistake. If you make a mistake, it's life and death or changes someone's life. Like, there's very, very, very little margin of error. And you have to live with that every single day.
Absolutely.
And you're put in situations that are higher stress than people will ever encounter in their entire lives every single day. And you have to be in the zone and focused and not make a mistake every single time. And there's going to be times that mistakes are made. And so it's just, it's a lack of understanding of what the law enforcement officers go through every single day and then cherry picking the bad ones and saying, look how bad they are. And it's just, it's an unfair representation.
Absolutely. We get a bad rep, but I mean, I get there's some things I've seen on social media, and it's just, it behooves me how they either were trained that way. Because a lot of people, you see things, I see things, and it's almost like I can't watch cops because literally I will judge every little thing. I would do this different. I would do this different. I would do this different. But it's crazy how different your mind works when you're under that stress that they're under. Because you know, I've chased somebody before, and I know I've lived in Plant City my entire life, and I know I'm going north, but I'll call out, you know, I'm going southeast on a road that's not even in this county. And it's just your mind works so different. So, I mean, it's high stressful at times. You see a lot of things that most people wouldn't want to see. It's cool to see, I wouldn't say cool, but you watch movies that can be
exciting,
violent, exciting. But when you see that, it's almost like, okay, well, this is a real person. So it has its ups and downs. When I first started, I wanted to be in the police car and turn the lights on and arrest somebody. That was so cool. But you learn so fast that, especially at a young age, you learn fast that, okay, you're dealing with people at their worst time in their life. Mm-hmm. And, not all people are bad, because there's some laws that I don't agree with. I do agree with sometimes, and it could mess them up their entire life.
Yep.
And, you just gotta treat everyone the way you'd want to be treated. And
treat people like people.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly how it is.
One of the other crazy things is that as a average civilian, if I'm ever dealing with a cop in any sort of meaningful way, it's probably not good. Like I'm usually getting a ticket or getting pulled over for something, or they're like at an event keeping things safe.
Yeah.
And most of the time, if they're like at an event or at like when I drop my son off at school, there's an officer there that's kind of watching the school all day long. Mm-hmm. So I make it a point to like engage with those cops and say, hey, thank you so much. Yeah. Like, especially the one at my son's school. I'm like, you're keeping my son safe every day. Absolutely. So I try and like go out of my way and say, thank you so much. Yeah. Because I think a lot of people they walk past cops every day and don't have any interaction. So then the only interaction they'll have is like, oh, I got a speeding ticket, or oh, that ass pulled me over because I was missing a taillight, or whatever it was. So they have all these negative interactions, but they never go out of their way to have that positive interaction.
Yeah. It's cool when, like, especially when we work certain details and people will come up to you and say, hey, we really appreciate it. And most of the time they're in their police, attitude mind, where they're just so focused on everything else around, like that they might just like, it might feel like you're getting, shook off a little bit, but it's not. I appreciate it, because every time like I work at the festival or something, Strawberry Festival, we interact with so many people, and it's a good feeling to know that there are people that care about us and actually like us, because a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
But it seems that way sometimes.
Yeah, I would say that's probably on that same category of the people who are very vocal about not liking the police, or what you hear. I would say that the vast majority of people understand that there's nuance there.
There has to be some sort of force that helps keep us protected, and who we can call to. Yep. And I will say, going to like Mexico or somebody or somewhere like that, you realize it could be a million times worse, because the people that the regular citizens fear are the police. It's not having that, and that's very disconcerting as like an American going somewhere like that. That's what I was scared of, is like, if something were to happen, there's no one to call.
Yeah, they're not going to help you.
Yep.
And that's the whole different mentality, is because like they don't trust the police. The police are extremely corrupt. Everybody that knows you get pulled over, you better have some cash on you, because you just give them money and they're good to go. Like, that's just, they will pull you over to get money. Like, that's what they want. And it's sad. Yeah. And we don't have that issue here. And I think that's, I don't know. Things could always be better, but things are much better here than they can be in a lot of other
it really
places.
just comes down to, like, I'm not trying to gloss over. If somebody acts inappropriately, then try and understand what happened there. I'm not saying that you should just gloss over it, but I'm saying that in general, police are a lot of times getting involved in being police officers so that they can help people. And so I would say the vast majority are doing just that. And I would also say the vast majority of people understand that and have had good interactions with police officers. And so it's just that constant fight against having the negativity that gets pushed out on the viral side of like news and social media and all that. That is not reality.
Well, thanks for your time, Dylan.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Thanks for your stories.
I got, plenty of stories. I could literally spend this entire time. I could spend a whole shift of 12 hours telling stories. I've got many.
I believe it.
Well, then it sounds like we need to get a segment going. We're going to have to, next time we record over here, we'll have to let you know. You can come by and give us some more.
Absolutely. I'm on limited time now, because I can literally break off and be, 5 miles away. It doesn't sound far, but 5 miles in this little city. But it could be, I might be sitting here joking with you, and I might be dealing with I would say bank robbers, but it's Friday night at 10:30.
Yeah, we don't have any banks open
Probably
at 10:30.
DUIs.
Yeah, we got one right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep, we got one right now, and usually it's Friday, so it's domestic night.
Sure.
Domestic weekend. Now I'm getting sent to a call now, and it's a verbal. Go ahead. I wish you guys could hear, but it would just be a bunch of signals and numbers that you have to like,
That we wouldn't understand.
at racetrack.
Keep your mic on.
What?
Keep your mic on.
10-4, I'm 51. It's verbal altercation
At a racetrack.
at a racetrack. One right here. Yep, with a male. I think it might be a drug buy going on.
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Let me go investigate, boys.
Thank you for coming out, Dylan.
Yeah.
We appreciate the stories. Have a great time
Thank you.
at racetrack dealing with
safe.
people being ridiculous.
Yes.
Get that free coffee.
Man.
Thank you.
Bye, brother.
I'll see you. I'll see
Man,
you.
that is a crazy secret handshake you guys have.
Yeah.
Have a good night, man. Be safe.
What a great conversation. I mean, I really enjoyed talking to him. I feel like there's a lot of politically charged back and forth on kind of police in general across the United States right now, and I feel like that was a really illuminating conversation, and it was really great to talk to him.
And now it's like his funny story about the guy in court.
But yeah, it's amazing that he was able to kind of get real with us about what it's like to be a cop and some of the pros and the cons of it. You know, there's a lot of nuance around being a police officer at this time. And so, yeah, thanks to one of the friends of our show, just a great guy who listens to the show all the time. And we'd love to share kind of new perspectives.
Yeah, and when you're a police officer, you are dealing with a lot of cons.
For the final discovery of the week, we have the band of the week, and they're called Vacationer. They actually have a podcast as well, and we will link that in the show notes because what he does is he breaks down with usually another musician. They go through different albums on vinyl, and they find interesting songs, and it's kind of like a curated playlist. It's usually something more obscure. It's pretty awesome. It's a great podcast, and we'll have to talk about it later. But they have a new album that just came out that is called Wavelengths. And it just came out, I believe, last week. And so I'd like to recommend the song Treat. It is a electronic kind of trip-hop style album, and it's very amazing. It was really cool to listen to. A lot of down-tempo stuff, a lot of really cool stuff. But yeah, if you like electronic down-tempo, check out Wavelengths by Vacationer. Thanks for listening, and as always, let us know if you have new discoveries this week. Let us know on the Podcast Discovery Club on our Facebook or also on Twitter.
Yep.
Get in touch any way you can. We'd love to hear it, and enjoy Treat by Vacationer.
Bye, guys.
Yabba-dabba-doo.
And now the bass just rips me apart. It's so beautiful.
Check out more shows like it at oddfixnetwork.com.